Welcome back to Terrific Taste. On the menu today, pepper steak with steamed rice. So for this application, I'm going to start off by cutting my peppers and my onions. I'm going to julienne those. Those are thin strips. Again, I'm using the blue cutting board because it shows up a lot easier with a colored cutting board than a white cutting board in a lot of cases. With the white onions, they won't show up clearly on this, so I just wanted to use it. I could obviously use it with the green or red, but rather than changing it, I'm just using the blue. The blue cutting boards normally signifies that you're going to use seafood or fish on it, which is why it's blue. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and sanitize that board first. Hasn't been used in a while, but sanitize it and make sure everything's good. And then we're just going to use that. And what you see me doing in the video is julienning the peppers. And then I'll go right to the onions. For the ginger, I am going to first peel this kind of with my knife with a quick peel. And then I'm going to cut it into coins and then mince it. You cut it into coins because ginger is very fibrous. And if you cut it against the grain and then do the mincing, you don't get as many of the fibers. So you can kind of control the fibers and all those different things that happen when you use ginger. But that's all I'm going to do first is cut it into coins. And then I'm just going to go through the process of mincing this finely. And I'll do my garlic. The garlic's already done actually, but you'll see the process. For my green onions, I'm going to wash them first, and I'm going to cut off the very root of them because there's some dirt and things like that in there. Even though it's clean, there's still root in the bottom part of that. So what I'm now going to do is just slice these, just kind of call this just kind of a rough cut, and I'm just going to use this. Some is going to be in the recipe, some is going to be for garnish, obviously. For the garlic, in this case, I'd already minced it. What I normally do with my garlic is when I get it, put it in the food processor, mince it all together, add oil and salt, and that takes care of it. Now you're going to see me go straight into the tomatoes. I'm going to cut these, and I cut these last on purpose. I'm going to add them to the recipe last on purpose as well. But when I make my pepper steak, I do tend to put a little bit of tomatoes in there. I want to make sure that no one's allergic to the tomatoes first. Now, what you see me doing is I'm taking my flank steak and I'm just taking a portion out because I'm going to use this a couple of recipes in this situation. One is for the pepper steak that we're doing today. Another video we're making is for the beef and broccoli, which will be later. But I'm going to cut those separately, and this is me putting it in a storage pan just so I can then go ahead and marinate it with some of the items that I just cut. And you'll see that process coming up in a second as well. For my pepper steak, I marinate it in garlic, ginger, olive oil, and soy sauce, or veg oil in this case, and soy sauce. And I'm just going to do a quick marinade. You see me adding the items in liberally. About for that amount of meat, I'd use about maybe a quarter of a tablespoon, and the rest of the things. I'm going to let that sit for a little while, maybe about 30-40 minutes, not longer. You cut them into thin strips, and you kind of want the beef to still taste like beef, not just like the seasoning and the sauce. And you're going to have sauce as the vehicle in this in the dish anyway, so you'll get plenty of it. So you just want to, I still want to hint, I want to taste the meat as opposed to all the other things with it. So just 30 minutes is long enough for that marinating process. What you see me doing now is I'm just putting my oil in my pan, and I'm about to start my sauteing process. Generally speaking, I will first go with my onions, then I'll add my peppers, a little bit at a time. I'm gonna do a little bit of salt on those, add my peppers and more peppers in, give them a quick toss, and then add a couple of other items, and I'm gonna set those to the side. Now I'm gonna give them a quick flip, throw my garlic in, to let that caramelize, and then you'll see me move. That's my garlic going in now. I'm gonna flip this real quick. Some ginger as well. Flip again, and then you're gonna see me go on to the next phase of this dish. Now I'm gonna add my tomatoes. The reason I saved my tomatoes for last is because they're gonna create liquid, which is gonna be against the thought process of getting a nice sear on my vegetables and getting them nice and crispy. So I wanna add the tomatoes last so that I can then get a little bit of that juice rolling, take it off of heat, and this is gonna be my vehicle for creating my sauce. Same pan, going with a little bit of oil first, not a lot because I already have oil in the marinade for the steak that I'm putting in. So now I'm starting the process of sauteing my beef. I'm gonna give this a quick turn, add a little bit of salt for seasoning, and that is that on this. I'm gonna let those cook for a little while, and then you will see me complete this dish. I won't give it away by showing you now or telling you now. I'll let you see how it completes and then give you that as it goes. So at this point, what you see is me flipping my pan. And as a cook, one thing that you want to pay attention to is your pan. Some people look at this pan and be like, oh, it's dirty, it needs to be clean. That is all flavor at the bottom of that pan. You do not want to clean that pan at this point because that's going to add to your dish. It's going to add to the flavor. And when you add your liquid, all that flavor is going to go into your sauce. So you don't want to you don't want to wash that pan and clean it, because you're defeating the purpose of adding those flavors back to your dish. So again, that's just the term for that at the bottom of that pan is called fond, and it's literally what's left behind when you sear and cook meat and vegetables. So you want that as part of your recipe. It's what's going to give you that umami. It's what's going to give you that taste that you need, all those different things. So you want to make sure you keep that. Now you'll see me adding my liquid. That's my soy sauce. And now what I'm going to do is add about a half a cup of water, just cold water, and now I'm going straight with my honey. Again, that water is going to help to get that fond off the bottom of that pan and impart flavor in this dish. So about 2 tablespoons of honey is what I'm going to use as my thickener. Again, I'm using this as an alternative to making the teriyaki sauce, which would be brown sugar and some sort of liquid as well. So instead of doing that, I'm just adding water and I'm adding the honey because I think that's a better final result. And here you have it, mixing bowl with my pepper steak, a little bit of sauce on the bottom of that. I don't like it to be too thick and syrupy. I kind of want it to be fresh and clean. You'll see me plate this shortly by simply adding rice to the bottom of my, to the middle of my plate, my serving plate, and then the sauce, the vegetables and the pepper steak on top with a little bit of sauce drizzling down the side. I would eat this, we're making some egg rolls and things like that later on, so I'd eat it with those. Or, I mean, this is a meal into itself. The vegetables are there, the starch is there, and the meat's definitely there. You kind of even have dessert with the honey, with the sweetness of the sauce. So again, you don't go overboard with the sweetness, just a little bit to get your palate right, and you're good to go. This is a great, quick, easy to make dish that looks impressive. Again, there you go with the presentation. And I would serve this. You saw me get the little juice out of there, and I would just use chopsticks for this. You could put some green onions on top of it for presentation purposes, or however you want to do it, but it just makes for a stunning dish. Again, pepper steak with steamed rice. Thank you for joining us today. And please, always remember, help someone. It's a good feeling. It's terrific.